We've got something a bit different for you this week. We're taking this Transporter T6.1, we're stripping it out and preparing it for some big changes.
This van needs to be stripped back properly. That means removing the roof liner, taking out the cab seats, dropping the cab headliner, removing any existing roof insulation, and taking off the roof rails. This isn't the most dramatic part of the conversion, but it's the stage that gives us access to everything we need before the roof can be marked, cut, and reinforced. With a pop-top roof install, you can't just start cutting from the outside. The inside of the van needs to be cleared first, so we can see what's behind the panels, protect the areas we're working around, and make sure the van is ready for the next stage. Once the strip out is done, the next job is protection. The areas around the roof are masked up so the paintwork is protected while the cutting and fitting work is carried out. This is a small step, but it matters. When you're cutting metal, moving tools around the roof, and lifting large sections into place, the last thing you want is unnecessary damage to the bodywork.
So we've got the van all covered up now. This is just to avoid any of the metal filings from coming down and either damaging the paintwork or getting caught in any of the kind of creases or any of the kind of gaps in the van. Now, one thing that you need to watch out for when you're cutting out the roof is you've got the wiring harness that runs across just underneath here. So when we are cutting that, we'll have one person inside the van just keeping that out of the way while the other person's on the top. You want to have eyewear protection on and the ears on there because it does get really noisy. This is always quite a kind of scary bit if you're doing it at home for the first time, but you just need to double and triple check all your measurements before you start drilling into the roof of your van. Now this is an SEA 194 roof that's going on, so it's just going to be bonded onto the rooftop once we've got our solid structure in place. So we're going to cut out the roof skin and the cross beams that go across there. Then we're going to put in a big galvanized metal frame, which is going to take up that support. That's going to get sealed in and riveted and keep the van body all rigid. And then the roof's going to sit down onto the top of that.
With the roof marked up, we now have the cut lines in place and the guys can start cutting out the metalwork. For this, we use a jigsaw with a longer blade. Most of the roof skin is only around 1 millimeter thick, but the cross beams underneath are much deeper. If you try to cut through the deeper sections with a smaller blade, you risk damaging the blade, making it jump, or catching the paintwork on the van. Using a longer blade means we can cut cleanly through both of the roof skins and the deeper crossbeam sections. Once the main roof section is cut out, the extra pieces of crossbeam are cut back. We remove what we can with the multi-tool first, then finish the edges with an angle grinder. We don't want to leave anything sharp inside the opening, and we also need the exposed metal ready for primer. Any metal swarf is then cleared away because if it's left, it can cause major issues down the line.
So with the roof section cut out, we've now got the leftover parts from the beams. So when you cut the beam flush with the roof here, we then need to step that back to allow the framework to sit in. I've just trimmed those back about 2 inches from the cut edge. That's going to allow our frame to sit nice and snug and nice and flush with the top here, so that the skin of the van will actually sit on top of the framework. Now, the next step is we're going to bring that framework inside the van. We're going to use some quick clamps just to dry fit it in place. Then we're going to pilot drill for all of our rivets. They're going to go in, then the frame's going to go back out. We're going to primer all the holes on the frame, primer all the holes on the van, all the cut edges, get it all ready for sealant. Then the frame's going to come back in. We'll position it with the quick clamps, loosen them off, put some polyurethane all the way around about this outside, pop it in place and rivet it all up so it's nice and tight.
It's time to dry fit the frame into the roof opening. At this stage, it's held in place with some clamps while the holes are drilled for the rivets. Some of the rivets are put in temporarily as the guys work around the frame. That helps stop it from moving while the other holes are being drilled. The dry fit is important because this is the point where everything gets checked before the frame is bonded and fixed permanently. Additional rivets are added as needed to keep the whole structure fixed and stable. These reinforcement plates are then fitted to the sections of beam that were cut out earlier. These plates help tie down the roof opening back into the structure of the van, rather than relying only on the outer skin. The pop-top roof itself has now been lifted into place. This is definitely a job for a few extra pairs of hands. The roof is checked for fit, lifted back off if needed, and then prepared for the final bonding stage. Before the sealant goes down, primer is applied to help the polyurethane bond properly to the paintwork. At this point, the pop-top is no longer just being test fitted, it's becoming a permanent part of this van. With the pop-top now installed, the attention turns to the glide motion rail system. This rail system is what allows the rib bed to move within the rear of the van, so its position and installation are important to how the finished layout will work. It's not just about fitting a seat or a bed, this system affects the usability of the whole rear living space.
Now, these bits of metal that we're fitting in the back here, this is a glide motion rail kit. It's designed specifically for Scopema RIB beds. This is for the 112 RIB bed. And what we do is we fit these underneath the floor. We then put a ply floor on top, and then a RIB bed will mount onto the top of it. Now, these are made from aluminium, so they're fairly lightweight, even though they are a substantial size. They come with a full fitting kit as well, so these black crossbars that you see, these will be removed. These are purely just here to keep the rails parallel. Now, there's two ways of finding the position for these. Essentially, you can mount them where you'd like to, because they do get bonded onto the floor surface, but they also have hard fixings going down through the floor, so they will get bolted on as well. You can either choose to fit the cradle and then fit the rib bed in, put it to where you want the rib bed to go, move it back and forth and make sure that it's not going to infringe on the sides of the van, or you can buy the floor kit, which we've done, where they supply the plywood floor kit. It comes CNC'd out to the contoured shapes of the van, and that way when you put them in place, there's only really the one position that the floor rails can go. Makes everything very, very easy. Now, we've got these ready to go in. The holes are drilled, they're just ready to be bonded down. Unfortunately, in the kit they've sent us, as part of the cradle, you have a left and a right side, and they've sent us two right-hand sides, and so we're just waiting. We're hoping today the left-hand side is going to arrive, because this one is effectively redundant. But once we have both sides, these rails just slide into here, then a rib bed gets mounted down onto these anchor points, and these little brakes here, this is what's going to lock that rib bed into place and stop it from sliding. What this floor system is going to allow is, once you've got the rails in, the plywood floor down, and you've got your rib bed in, it then allows you, rather than having it in a fixed position, you're going to be able to move that bed forwards and backwards to wherever you want it to sit in the van. For those of you that have got young families, it's really good because you can have the kids fastened into the seats in the back. You can move them all the way to the front, so they're right behind you. On those long journeys where they want you to pass everything back and forth, it makes it very easy. And then when you get to wherever you want to go, you can slide that all the way back, and then you've got all your living area space in the front. It's also really handy, even if you don't have a young family. If you're using your van for work, it means that you can have your camper van bed set up in the back here, but rather than it being static, you can move it all the way to the front and use your van for the big rear garage space. So a really versatile bit of kit. So the next stage for us, hopefully this new cradle will arrive today. We don't want to bond these floor rails down until it does arrive, because we want to double check the measurement, make sure that everything's absolutely fine and it's not going to move. The last thing we want to do is bond these rails into place, put our cradle on in our bed, and then it's slightly a mil or two out of place and it won't slide very nicely. So we're going to wait until we've got everything in place, then these will get bonded onto the floor, left overnight to cure so they're 100% strong. And then as soon as that's on, we can get our plywood floor down, then we've got a lino going in over the top, then we can get rear valance put back on and our side step put back in, and that'll be the floor done.
Next we move on to the cover panels around the pop-top opening. These are used to fill the gaps between the underside of the pop-top roof and the walls of the van, giving the inside edge a much cleaner finish. The panels are carpeted so they blend into the interior rather than leaving exposed metalwork or an unfinished edge around the roof opening. To get the shape right, we used the original headliner that came out of the van as a template. Once it has been trimmed and carpeted, it can be reinstalled using poppers in the existing holes in the van. We then move on to the 240 volt hookup point. Before the socket can be installed, the position needs to be marked and the hole cut through the side of the van. This is what allows the van to be plugged into shore power on a campsite, so it's a small fitting on the outside, but an important part of the overall electrical system.
Now our client is doing this build in stages. He's asked us to do the things that he doesn't feel comfortable doing himself, so he's brought the van to us as a combi, so it's already carpet lined, has some rudimentary electrics fitted with a leisure battery, it already has the side windows fitted. Now we fitted the roof, we've fitted the floor with the slide rails, we're fitting interior bed, and we're also going to be fitting a 240 volt system because the client would rather we did that ourselves. To get that 240 volt into your van, you need an inlet. This is a FAWO inlet. It comes with a little flappy lid with magnets to keep it held down. It has this quick connector here for your shore power hookup. It's got a male and a female end, and it's got a little locator, so it's very easy, you can't really go wrong with it. Now when that power comes into the van, it needs to go through one of these. This is a consumer unit, an RCD, and just like in your house, if something goes wrong, these fuses trip to cut off the main supply. But unlike in your house, these have got different rules and regulation to them, being in a leisure vehicle. One of the things is you need to have it cut off the neutral and the live at the same time. That used to just be the live. The reason for that is if you travel to Europe and they have reverse polarity, then it could just be cutting off the neutral, which isn't going to do very much for you. The other thing you want to make sure it's got a test function button there. That means if you're going to have problems with the campsite side of the electricity and you're not getting power into your van, you can press this button. If nothing happens, that means you're not getting any problems in the van. If you press it and this trip switches, then you know that the problem's inside the vehicle because you are getting power in there. Now we're going to swap these two singles out for a double, which joins them together for that exact reason. We've actually just built these onto that board rather than actually building them into the van. Because the customer's going to be building his own units, it means that we're going to leave a tail of cable long enough that he can then position that where he wants that to be in his van, or he can take the units off and repurpose them elsewhere. But for now, it means he'll have a fully working system all in place. Now the customer already had LED strip lighting inside, but it was down the middle of his roof here, and so he's asked us to repurpose it for him. But because we've removed that central section, we took the lights down. We're now refitting them to the side strips here. So these are just standard LED strips. Usually we fit cob LED lighting. The main difference with cob LED lighting is that it's got a built-in diffuser, which is essentially just a clear rubber strip across the top of LED diodes. The other difference is that the little diodes inside are very close together, and it kind of creates the illusion that it's one strip of light rather than having the individual little lights. With the old style LED strips, you tend to find it can look a little bit like the sides of a carnival attraction with the little kind of incremental lights. Well, this avoids that. It gives you one strip, and then once you've fitted it inside, you've then got your separate diffuser across the top, which spreads the light and creates that same illusion. This is great stuff. It's also available in an IP65 and 67, so you can use it outside, which is really good. But we're going to fit this back to the customer's original light switch, which is a little fader button in here, and that we've also wired it in from that side onto this, so they both work off the same switch, which is easily accessible when you first come into the van. Now this roof is an SCA 194, and it's one of the most expensive roofs on the market. Probably not the most, but it's up there. And a lot of people ask us what the difference is between this and one of the cheaper models. Largely the fit is better, so instead of it just being the roof with a drop-down canopy which you then attach to the van, you get a clamshell, so it arrives and it's already fitted with the canopy. It already has the hinges and everything fitted, and you just bond the bottom shell on, as you'll have seen earlier in the video. But with that comes the nose cone on the front, so you get a fitted fiberglass nose cone, which provides a lot less wind resistance, and it means you don't get that wind noise from the front when you're driving, which is really beneficial. It also makes a much nicer kind of appealing look to the van. But the best thing, I think, and the best selling point about these roofs is the fact that it doesn't have the double straps on the front. With the double straps, when you do up the roof, it really depends who's pulled the roof down and tightened it up as to how tight and how closed that roof is. The last thing you want is for it to be popping up or coming loose when you're on drives. This here has almost like a kind of cam lock system. So it's got this little hook that you bring it down, you pull the roof down and you twist the cam lock and the hook moves down, contacts the latch, and then you twist it again and it pulls it tighter, and it pulls it that extra kind of 3/4 of an inch down. So, and then once it's locked and you know that it's secure. There's no how secure is it? It's either open or it's shut. And once that hook's on, you've also got this secondary attachment, this little seat belt, just to give you the peace of mind. If anything came loose, if anything did manage to work its way from being closed, then you've got this little safety belt, and it's easily visually recognizable that is then shut. So it's a really good system and just kind of puts your mind at ease. So it's been a bit of an unusual one for us. We haven't worked on vans this size for quite some time, but let us know what kind of van you've got at home. And let us know what your dream van is as well. If money wasn't an option, put it into the comments. As always, thank you very much for watching. And if you want to see more van related content like this, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.